Brilliant timing from Rafael Nadal. You can tell he's a man of class, and it also allows those Dutch fans to leg it up the hill to Wimbledon Village to find a pub to watch the match in. There are plenty of their orange compatriots here in Cape Town. Quickly team news from here, then commentary comes from the other game in Rustenburg. But David Oates, who's lining up for these two this evening?
Well, interestingly, Mark, the Dutch coach Bert van Marwijk has made just one change. He's rested one of the three players who are on yellow cards, Gregory van der Wiel, and replaced him with the ex-Chelsea defender Khalid Boulahrouz. Nigel de Jong and Robin van Persie are the other Dutch players on yellows, but they both start, and Arjen Robben's on the bench. There's a feeling he may get 10 to 15 minutes to test his hamstring, providing that the results are going to plan. We'd expected wholesale changes from the Cameroon. Paul Le Guen, I should say, resist that. He has made a couple of changes. The Dutch need just a point to be certain of topping Group E and meeting Slovakia. Ultimately, they may not even need that against the Cameroon, who've had a wretched time here.
So, David, will keep you in touch with the game here in Cape Town, but our commentary comes from Rustenburg. Japan against Denmark. Jan Mulby will be getting excited again. Darren Fletcher. And first, here's Ian Dennis.
Yes, thank you, Mark. I would imagine that Jan is feeling how every Englishman and Englishwoman, I suppose, was feeling yesterday with your fate going down to the final game, Jan, here in Rustenburg.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think when the World Cup draw was made, I think Denmark would have been quite happy with going into the last game, knowing that a win against Japan would take us through.
Well, Japan for a third successive game are unchanged, and the scenario here in Group E is that Holland are already through. They were the first team to book their place in the last 16 with 2 wins out of 2. Japan have 3 points. They are currently second, and Denmark, because of an inferior goal difference, -1, are third. So basically Japan just have to avoid defeat to make it through to the knockout stages for the first time on foreign soil. So the pressure really is on the Danes, who have made 2 changes. One of them is enforced. Kroldrup, the former Everton defender, coming in for the highly rated Kjær, who is suspended. The other change is Kallenberg for Jesper Grønkjær. So this is how the two teams line up, with Denmark first. Sorensen in goal, a back four of Jakobsen, Kroldrup, Daniel Agger, of course, of Liverpool, and Simon Poulsen. Christian Poulsen in the midfield, in the centre alongside Martin Jorgensen. Dennis Ramadal on the right, Thomas Kallenberg on the left, and Jon Dahl Tomasson behind Nicholas Bentner in a 4-2-3-1 formation. As for Japan, Kawashima is in goal. He was certainly impressive against England in Austria 2 or 3 weeks ago in a warm-up game for the World Cup. A back four of Nagatomo, Nakazawa, Tullio and Kamano. A midfield of Endo, Hasebe, Abe with Matsui, and then Honda trying to support Okobo as the lone striker. And certainly Japan, their warm-up preparations were in disarray with as we're underway here in Rustenburg. But since then they have adapted to this World Cup stage, and the way that they have performed in their first 2 matches, I'm sure they'll be very confident. Japan in all royal blue, playing from right to left against Denmark in their red shirts and white shorts, and pockets of Danish supporters on both the bottom and the top tier of that standover on the far side. Certainly when I commentated here a few days ago, it was Slovakia against New Zealand. I think it was the lowest World Cup attendance since 1986. And I would imagine those who have managed to make it to this stadium about 7 miles outside the mining city of Rustenburg, that may well challenge that record, because the ground, with of course this athletics track all the way around the pitch here, it's probably only half full, isn't it?
Yeah, it certainly looks that way. Just dealing with Japan, and you spoke about them just before. It appears that they don't have an awful lot of goals in them, but they have defended well. They've just conceded the 1 goal, which you have to put down to a goal-keeping mistake. So it's got to be tough. I think a lot of people back home in Europe would think this is a straightforward game for Denmark, but I'm not so sure.
Well, Ramadal looking to win that ball. It breaks though back, and in fact free kick given against Ramadal. I think he may well have left his foot into that challenge as it was then played out towards AB. So it'll be an opportunity for Japan to throw the ball into the penalty area. They are a threat at set pieces, and it's noticeable already that Nakazawa has made his way forward from the back. AB is just on the edge of the area. The other central defender, Tullio, with his hair tied up, he scored against England after 7 minutes in Graz. He also is lurking on the edge of the penalty area, as it's Hasebe with the ball into the penalty box. Tullio tried to meet it by the penalty spot area. Simon Poulsen towards Bentner, and Bentner then was checked by Okobo, and it'll be a free kick which our South African referee, Jerome Damon, gives. A little bit of dissent there from the Japanese striker, and the South African official is quick to stamp his authority on the game here as Kroldrup across the back goes towards Agger, and Denmark slowly building from the back as this is Jorgensen out towards Simon Poulsen over on that far side. So Jorgensen once again, forward ball to Rommedahl. Denmark passing the ball with a nice zip across the surface. Bentner, Rommedahl, little touch. Jorgensen out towards that far side, and Simon Poulsen has ventured, offering width high up the pitch. Simon Poulsen threads the ball to Jon Dahl Tomasson and back towards the left back. Simon Poulsen, but couldn't keep his left foot shot down, and it bounces away on the athletics track behind that goal away to our right. 5 live sport, 3 minutes played, no goals, and here is Jan Mulby.
Well, they'll be pleased with that, Denmark. I think that's the best start they've made in any World Cup game, and that was the word from the camp. I've spoken to a lot of people who've been in and watched the team train. They say they're full of confidence. Physically they look very, very good. The interesting bit is, because the talk before the game was about Dennis Rommedahl, who's been Denmark's star in the first 2 games. He's actually playing in a centre role just behind Bentner, and Jon Dahl Tomasson appears to be the one playing slightly more to the right.
Simon Poulsen, far side, back towards Agger. This is Christian Poulsen dropping deep to collect the ball, pursued by Honda to Bentner. Bentner inside to Rommedahl. Jon Dahl Tomasson has made a diagonal running towards the penalty area as the ball is sent over by Jakobsen. It's a deep ball towards the far post. Nakazawa will let it run out of play. Jon Dahl Tomasson can't retrieve it, and out it goes for a goal kick.
You can actually see when players get in that position, they're really wary of the ball. Normally you'd get to the byline and you really whip one in, but Jakobsen was aware that the ball travels forever, so he just tried to hang it up at the far post, but again, as we've seen so many times, gets far too much on it.
Well, yesterday, of course, all the pressure was on England. The expectations, of course, were so high. Are the expectations so great back in Denmark?
No, they're not. I mean, if Denmark could possibly maintain the record of always qualifying for the knockout stages in World Cups, that would be great. And I think the expectations are that if Denmark hit top form here today, then they'll win.
Well, they came from behind against Cameroon, 0-0 here in the early stages, and they certainly seem to have settled very well, the Danes, playing from left to right in Rustenburg with the Vuvuzelas, of course, the natural backdrop, I suppose, in terms of the atmosphere being sounded in all parts of this oval stadium. Simon Poulsen, far side, collecting the pass from Kallenberg. Back to Christian Poulsen in the centre circle. Forward ball, Nicholas Bentner dropping over his shoulder but bouncing away off the surface and out for a goal kick. Of course, the shock already as far as this World Cup is concerned today happened with Italy, the world champions, bowing out after that 3-2 defeat against Slovakia. First time since 2002 that the World Cup champions have failed to navigate their way through the group stages. It means that Paraguay finished as Group F winners, and Paraguay, providing that Denmark or Japan do finish second, and I think that is likely because of the goal difference that Holland have. The winners of this match will play Paraguay in Pretoria in the last 16. Japan, of course, are hoping it will be they who get through to the knockout stages, as the ball was played towards Honda with his short sleeves and his gloves on a relatively mild night by Rustenburg standards. It's always very sunny and very hot during the day with its subtropical temperatures, but the temperature certainly drops when it gets dark at around 5:30 here in the northwest province of South Africa, as the free kick was taken too quickly by Denmark. The ball was moving and it'll have to be retaken, but certainly the Japanese supporters have travelled in force. They unfurled a giant blue Japanese shirt which was passed over their heads on that top tier and that stand on the far side under these dark skies as a helicopter hovers over the stadium. As Denmark come forward, and Simon Poulsen's cross takes a deflection and bounces all the way across the face of goal. The deflection actually took it away from Tomasson, who'd made a darting run towards the near post, and it will indeed be, I was going to say a goal kick, but I think the referee's changed his mind and
yeah, I mean, the deflection is what takes it out of play. But I actually think the deflection might have helped Jon Dahl Tomasson, because he went up and above the first defender and just dropped for him. And I think if he gets any kind of touch, we've just seen the replay, he actually touched his knee, but if he gets any kind of a good touch, I think it's a goal.
It was an acrobatic flick towards goal from the former Newcastle striker. This will be an away swinger. Kallenberg to take the corner kick for Denmark. They have certainly put Japan under a lot of early pressure. The referee has blown his whistle, and what's he spotted? He's calling two players towards him. One of them is Abe, Japanese midfielder. and in fact it's his opposite, Christian Poulsen, the fellow number 2 for Denmark, who just had a word in their shell light. So 0-0 in these early stages, 7 minutes played. Kallenberg now with the away swinging corner towards the far post, and that'll be a goal kick. It was Coldrup at the far post, who when he was at Everton he really was a flop, wasn't he? They signed him from Udinese, wasn't it?
Yeah, they signed him. But they signed the wrong type of player. What Everton wanted was an aggressive centre-half that was going to go and win headers and really defend. He's not. He's the second centre-half. He's the one who hangs back. He's the one who sweeps up, controls things. He's never been you'd look at him and you think 6'2", but he's not that type of centre-half. So I think in terms of buying him, they bought the wrong type of centre-half. But you can't defend his record at Everton. He was poor.
Denmark coming forward. I was actually told as Tullio takes the ball away off the toes of Bentner, and it'll be a Japan throw midway through the Japan half. I was actually told by a former playing colleague of Coldrup's at Everton, I won't name him to keep it confidential.
Name drop or?
No, I won't name drop,
okay.
but I'll be confidential. But he said that he couldn't actually head the ball.
No, well that's kind of, I just said that in a nice way, didn't I?
Yeah, but you just didn't say.
No, I didn't. And with the corner, when the corner came out, because that's the reason we spoke about him, the corner came at the far post where you thought, go on, stick your head in where it hurts, you got yourself a chance, and he came off his knee.
But how can a central defender not head the ball? Well, surely that's a natural part of his.
Well, you would think so,
game.
wouldn't you? So, but there's not an awful lot of heading needed by centre halves when they play in Denmark, and obviously the fact that he's gone to Italy, and maybe there isn't a lot of need for it there either. But yeah, heading is not his strong part. Looking at him, you think differently.
Just the one game for Everton. Now, of course, back in Italy with Fiorentina as Christian Poulsen, who plays, of course, in Turin with Juventus out towards that far side. Then it's to Kallenberg.
It's Denmark in possession with a blue wall, isn't it?
Yeah,
I think we expected that.
The Japanese are quite happy for Denmark to have it, aren't they? They're just dropping off, and they need to have that creativity, that little bit of guile to try and get past the Japanese, who'll try and strike on the counter-attack as the ball is played up towards Bentner but headed away. A powerful header from Tullio, and then John Dahl Thomason, who wasn't a major success at Newcastle, for those who can remember his time on Tyneside. And this is Denmark coming forward once more. Out towards Simon Poulsen. Poulsen comes in field. Kallenberg to Christian Poulsen. Played forward. Simon Poulsen has taken on the run as well, off the chest, brought down just inside the D. Referee says play on, and Japan will bring the ball away. Out towards Honda. And then played forward towards Honda once again by Kubu. And Honda tries to slip away from his marker, which was Jorgensen.
He's given nothing, this referee, is he?
No, he's not.
He's just let two go.
Nice to let the game flow from the South African.
Yeah, as long as they're consistent, it's not a problem.
This is
play.
Romadal getting a little lucky ricochet to Bentner. Pattern of the play so far in these opening 10 minutes, no goals, has been all Denmark, but yet to really create a worthwhile opportunities. It's out towards Kallenberg, towards Thomason, played in. Thomason's low ball cleared by Nakazawa on the corner of that 6-yard area, and then it's Matsui who will play the ball towards Honda. Is there a possible counter-attack here? Just shuffling across was Coldrup, and now it's Christian Poulsen as Sorensen touches the ball, and Honda is the solitary figure in the Denmark half. Every other blue shirt away to our right is just dropped back into position as the ball from Jorgensen sails over the head of Kallenberg and out for a throw. Do they have the invention to break down this Japanese side?
Well, it's the one thing that Denmark lack. The reason that Kallenberg is playing on the left today, and he's the third guy to start on the left playing for Denmark in the 3 games here, is that he does have a little bit of individual brilliance about him. He can find a pass, he can do something on his own. Not so much needed today for the pace of Gronke as he gets to the byline and put in cross. It was more needed for Kallenberg. Martin Jørgensen plays in centre midfield. He also has a pass in him. But it's going to be tight. Denmark's strength is like it was against Cameroon. Open game, plenty of room to run, because Denmark have a lot of quick players. This is a different and a more difficult challenge.
The scenario, remember, still no goals in Cape Town between Holland and Cameroon, is that Japan don't necessarily have to play an open game, as a yellow card is shown. Is it Matsui who's picked up? No, it's Endo who's got that yellow card. Endo has been shown that yellow for time wasting after 12 minutes, which just illustrates what I was about to say, that they're under no real hurry, they're under no pressure. It suits them, the draw, to take them through to the last 16. Endo's ball into the penalty area from that long free kick deep inside the Denmark penalty area, and then eventually hooked away by Jorgensen by Denmark. It'll be collected by Kimono. Kimono's ball out towards Okobo on this near side to left. Okobo has some support now with Nagatomo coming from behind him as Okobo looks up, plays a diagonal ball in towards the penalty area. There's a very good run inside by Matsui, and Sorensen managed to get, I think, his knees on the ball to clear the ball away from a penetrating ball in. It was a darting run too from Japan, and had he got maybe a little bit more on it, he could have just flicked the ball past the Stoke goalkeeper.
Yeah, I think it was a surprise though. It's a cross, it's a harmless cross into the penalty box. It's low, and Martin Jurgensen's the nearest in. You think he's going to clear it. He expects it just to go through the goalkeeper, so he lets it run through. There was a Japanese player, as you rightly say.
Matsui, ball slipped through for Japan. And it was an opportunity for Hasebe, the Wolfsburg midfielder, who just again got away from his marker into the penalty area, inside right channel of the penalty area, and his right-footed shot, he couldn't keep it down, and it was angled wide. But two very good opportunities for Japan.
Yeah, you can't deny that. That second one just played down the channel where Daniel Agger should have been. He wasn't there, and it was a good job that Crowder was there. He got across, didn't quite get a challenge in, but did enough to put the Japanese striker off.
So after soaking up the pressure for the opening 10 minutes, Japan have had two opportunities, as it's still 0-0 here in Rustenburg. In this critical game, as far as Group E is concerned, to see who can make it through to the last 16. This is 5 Live, your World Cup station, at every game, at every ground. And don't forget, at 9:30 this evening, the England Media Bubble, presented by Ian McGarry with Brian Woolnough also in London, Sean Custis and Henry Winter out here in South Africa as John Dahl Thomason into the penalty area. John Dahl Thomason across the face of goal and very wide, just so close from that right hand post, just couldn't place it.
He's getting a lot of joy in behind the right back, Jon Dahl Tomasson, and you think, what's he going to do? There's only one Dane in the penalty area, that's Nicholas Bendtner, and he goes for the Bendtner with the inside of the right foot, and he just misses the far post agonisingly wide.
Kawashima was beaten, and Jon Dahl Tomasson, who's been waiting more than 2 years to equal Paul Neeson's record of 52 goals with a joint record goal scorer for Denmark, has to wait a little bit longer.
He should have equalled it and beaten it in the last game against Cameroon, when he had two fantastic chances that he both missed. Sorry to interrupt.
It's alright, ball over the top. I remember actually when Kenny Dalglish signed him at Newcastle, and he was flying in pre-season at Newcastle, and Kenny Dalglish said that he was one of the best finishes he's ever seen in training.
And his career would suggest something like that. Wherever he's been, he's scored a lot of goals. He hasn't had a great career, but he's had a very good career. He's always scored goals, and the fact that he has 51 international goals, you know, for Denmark. Denmark don't win many games, 4, 5 and 6-0. It's been hard going, so well done to him.
51 goals in 111 appearances. Certainly scored goals for fun in pre-season, Newcastle fans will remember. And then he missed a very good opportunity on the opening day of the season against Sheffield Wednesday, and his confidence never seemed to be the same since, and never really recovered in that team under Kenny Dalglish at Newcastle United. Here, Denmark could do with a goal from Jon Dahl Tomasson in a game that they have to win. 15 minutes played, 5 Live. And that England Media Bubble, that coming up at 9:30, as the gentleman, I'm sure, will dissect England's performance last night and also look ahead to the big game in Bloemfontein on Sunday against the Germans. Bendtner's touch letting him down from his right foot, balloons away and out for a throw to Japan.
There's plenty to talk about, isn't there? You know, the games might not have all been the greatest World Cup games we've ever seen, but plenty to talk about with Italy and France heading back home.
Certainly unpredictable. England in the cricket, the second one-day international, Cardiff, are responding to Australia's 239 for 7. How are they doing, Pat Murphy?
Well, they've just lost Kevin Peterson in Steve Smith's first over. Smith, the leg spinner, playing in only his second one-day international. Peterson making it look very easy. Down the pitch, though, got himself out again. Trying to hit it over mid-wicket. Magnificent one-handed catch by Ponting, one of the best fielders in the world. That's a key wicket, I think. 91 for 2, 15 overs gone, 240 the target, Ian.
Thanks, Pat. And cricket commentary continues on 5 Live Sports Extra. Here we are on 5 Live in Rustenburg. 0-0 between Denmark and Japan. Japan have a free kick. It's midway through the Denmark half. It's Honda who is trying to... Well, what they've done what Sam Allardyce used to do at Bolton at one stage. Tulio was clearly in an offside position. He's been pushed away by Bendtner as the ball is fired in by Honda. It's gone all the way through. Sorensen simply didn't deal with it, and Honda has got the goal that may well be taking Japan through to the knockout stages.
Absolutely incredible. I mean, first and foremost, where he decides to shoot from Honda, you think the best he can hope for is a cross into the penalty area for people to go and win the header. He goes for the shot and he goes straight at the ball with his left foot, and the ball goes straight at the goalkeeper, and I just think he loses the flight, Thomas Sorensen, because that was straight at him, and I feel the goalkeeper's got to do better from that distance. As the ball has come, the goalkeeper's moved to his left and can recover, getting back across to save it with his right hand.
Well, he really should have done better. That step, as Jan says, to his left was in the end decisive, because he was beaten but to the ball by a matter of centimetres. And Honda, who is a free kick specialist, has delivered a goal that may well be taking Japan through to the knockout stages. They lead Denmark by 1-0.
You do not score direct free kicks in there.
It dipped over the wall, but there's no disguising the fact that Thomas Sorensen, for all of his experience, should have done much better with that.
Well, you put up a wall for a reason, and the wall takes care of some part of the goal, and then the goalkeeper had to take part of care of the rest, and it was his side, and the fact that he's decided, he's panicked, he took a step to the left, he could never recover getting back across. Well, I have to be totally honest, Ian, when he lined up to take the free kick, I didn't think he was going to shoot from there.
No. Well, there appeared he must have been bearing in mind he was out on the left hand side, he must be close onto 30 yards out.
Yeah, that's for sure, and he was further out in width-wise than the 18-yard line.
Yeah, no, Sorensen will be very, very disappointed, and after making all the early running in this game, it is Japan who lead by 1-0. 19 minutes played, and the Japanese supporters over on the far side are jubilant, and the Denmark supporters, decked out in red, are very, very subdued. They now have to do what they did against Cameroon and come from behind, because remember, it's worth reiterating that a draw is simply not good enough for Denmark. And now they will feel a little bit of pressure, Jan.
Yeah, they will. What they knew Denmark against Cameroon, they knew they'd get chances, easy chances, because Cameroon committed so many men forward. The Japanese won't, and now they have the lead, and Denmark have to go and find 2 goals from somewhere. And we shouldn't forget either, Denmark don't score an awful lot of goals. I think they got 16 in 10 qualifiers, in a group with Malta and Albania, so not free scoring.
So Denmark now having to come from behind. They're trailing by 1-0. And this is Agger stepping forward from the back. Agger's ball into the penalty area. Bentner rises a little bit too early. Okubo is back to help out the striker on the edge of his own penalty area. But he's been caught in possession by Romadal. Romadal's cross headed away by Kimono. Collected by Agger on the half volley. Knocked back in towards the penalty area. Matsui, though, will stretch into the challenge to clear the ball away. And certainly Keisuke Honda is a talismanic figure. Japan have won all 5 matches in which he has scored, and they have kept a clean sheet in all of them. That statistic certainly doesn't bode well for Jan Molby and any Danes who may well be listening to 5 Live, because it's his goal, direct from a free kick, that Sorensen really should have done better with, that separates the sides. 20 minutes played, 5 Live here in Rustenburg. No goals between Holland and Cameroon, but Holland, of course, are already through to the last 16. And on a day when the world champions Italy have gone out of the competition, there may well be another European side heading home, and that side will be Denmark unless they can score 2 goals here as they trail. As a corner, an away swinging corner from Kallenberg is cleared once again. And I think Japan certainly showed in their defeat against Holland that they're not overawed. They're a team that, as we said before, were in disarray before the World Cup started, but buoyed by that opening victory against Cameroon, and they came into the competition with their worst run of form for 12 years. They've grown in stature.
Yeah, and I think sometimes it can help, can't it? Get them together for a long period, get them used to each other again. Then you get 1 or 2 results. Okay, they lost against England, but they would have took a lot of heart from their performance against England, and then starting the first game winning. So they're back to doing what they're good at. They're well organised, they work extremely hard, and the fact they've got 1 or 2 goals in them as well, which only makes it very, very difficult for Denmark.
Christian Poulsen in towards John Dahl Thomason. Flag was down, and in the end it was Kawashima who made a save from close range to keep out John Dahl Thomason. Not so sure how much he got on it.
I don't think he got any on it. I think if he gets anything on it again, I think it's a goal. It's Christian Poulsen's left foot pass in behind the defender. They're having a lot of problems with Jon-Dahl Tomason's movement, the Japanese.
Kallenberg with a corner. Tullio heads it away by the penalty spot area. Denmark looking to put Japan under pressure. Kallenberg on the right hand side. Kallenberg's cross. Kawashima. The referee has spotted infringement. Kawashima stays down on his back and then rolls back onto his feet. As we will go to Cape Town, and let's get an update from Holland against Cameroon with David Oates.
Midway point of this game, still Cameroon 0, Holland 0. Just one really good chance a few moments ago to Robin van Persie for Holland. In acres of space, 18 yards out, right-footed, he fired straight at goalkeeper Suleimanu. He really should have done better. There's commentary on this match, by the way, online on the BBC 5 Live website with Jackie Oakley and Graham Taylor. But here in Cape Town, Cameroon 0, Holland 0.
And here we are in Rustenburg. We're midway through the first half with Japan leading by a goal to nil. And to take you through to half-time, here's Darren Fletcher.
Thanks, Ian. Well, it's a game that Denmark simply have to win, and that task has been made so much more difficult by that goalkeeping error by Thomas Sorensen and that fantastic strike from Keisuke Honda, the centre-forward for Japan. Second goal of the World Cup tournament. He got the winner against Cameroon for them earlier in the competition. And I was reading some quotes from Okada, the Japanese coach, and he said that the big surprise in the Japanese squad coming into this World Cup was the form of Honda. He scored 7 goals in 20 internationals, and he really has become a key figure in this Japanese side. Here they come on the left-hand side with a Kubu, in towards Asabi, the captain, and then forward towards Matsui. He's tackled by Agger, midway inside the Denmark half, and the red and white shirts can come forward with Thomason, who's already had a couple of chances, which he's been unable to take. Here's Bentner now for Denmark, about 10 yards inside the Japan half, as Denmark in red and white play from left to right here in Rustenburg in this first half, with the familiar squeal of the Vuvuzela in the background and rather subdued Danish supporters. The Japanese fans, though, Jan Molby, waving their blue and white balloons about and waving their flags. They can almost feel a place in the last 16.
Yeah, and what a fantastic achievement that would be for Japan. You know, Japan is not one of the real big boys in international football, but they've done well here. This is a tricky group. You know, everybody expected the Netherlands to win it, but then from the other three, take your pick. And so far, at the moment, it's looking like Japan.
But for a goalkeeping error in Durban against Holland, it might be Japan playing for a group win tonight. If you think back to Wesley Sneijder's goal, there was certainly an error by Kawashima, who almost dived past the ball. They contained Holland very well. If anything, Denmark have found it slightly easier to break them down tonight without success. Here's Jakobsen, the Blackburn player, on the halfway line. Infield then towards Jorgensen. He's forced to turn backwards by the attentions of Endo. And now the ball is with Daniel Agger as he comes forward towards the halfway line. Long diagonal ball by the Liverpool man. Out towards Rommedahl on the right. Rommedahl fails to control. It's out underneath his foot. And it's a throw into Japan, just about level with the edge of their own penalty area. Jan Molby.
Yeah, he's best on the move, Rommedahl. He's best when things are ahead of him. He's got plenty of room to run into. And I think the way that the game is going, that Rommedahl, Bentner, Kallenberg, we haven't seen an awful lot of them. Jon-Dahl Tomasson, of course, had 1 or 2 problems with his runs in behind, but apart from that, we haven't seen enough.
There's another yellow card, Nagatomo this time for time wasting. So that's 2 yellow cards that Japan have picked up inside the opening 25 minutes of this match, both for time wasting. Endo and Nagatomo both shown yellow cards by Jerome Damon, the South African referee. And Denmark coming forward now, trailing by a goal to nil. Honda with it. After 17 minutes of this match in Group E, still Holland 0, Cameroon 0. Earlier today, Slovakia beat Italy 3-2. It was Paraguay 0, New Zealand 0. So Italy are out of the competition. The world champions are gone. Paraguay win the group. Slovakia are second. And the winners of this match, barring a goal avalanche from Japan in this game, will play Paraguay in the last 16 of the World Cup. Denmark have certainly had their chances, Jan, but they're not showing that instinct to finish in front of goal.
No, not so far. And it has been Denmark's most prolific goal scorer who's had the chances, Jon-Dahl Tomasson. But there's still a way to go. The problem, you can't see the Japanese ever opening up. You know, even if Denmark get one, they'll just continue to do what they're doing, and they're very good at it. A 4-man back line, 5 in midfield, even a front man who spends most of his time in his own half. So extremely work hard and well organised.
It was only very late in the game against Holland that Holland started to have chances against this very well organised Japanese defence. Here come Denmark on the left-hand side. They've gone back into their defensive shell now, the Japanese. Forward by Agger. Thomason tried to flick it, cleared away by Matsui. And now Endo, the Asian Player of the Year, has the ball just short of halfway. Forward towards Akubu with the gingery hair, tried to play it forward towards his captain Asabi. And then Jorgensen's caught in possession. Akubu tries to barge his way through. And the former Everton defender Kroldrup plays it forward. Little flick there by Bentner, who was caught from behind by a Japanese defender. And it's going to be a free kick on the halfway line to Denmark.
Yeah, possible, if anything. The Japanese goal that made Denmark nervous. The passing is not as crisp as it was in the first 10 minutes.
27 minutes gone here in Rustenburg. Chilly night, not as cold according to Ian Dennis as it can be, but certainly cold enough for me, Jan Molby. Not a full stadium by any stretch of the imagination, and certainly happier faces on those supporting Japan. So free kick to Denmark here, and Lars Jakobsen will take it from a couple of yards inside the Japan half on this right hand side, floated forward by Jakobsen into the penalty area, too high for Kroldrup, and that floats harmlessly behind for a goal kick to Japan. So let's update the cricket. England need 240 to beat Australia in Cardiff, and here's Pat Murphy.
The partisan crowd, Darren, have just been singing Delilah. We've had Bread of Heaven. They think England are going to win this one. We'll see. 240 their target. The men out: Kieswetter for 8, Peterson for 33, Strauss 51 of 51 balls, Collingwood 6, 103 for 2, only 18 of the 50 overs gone.
You'll forgive me, Pat, that I can't tell you what the Japanese supporters are singing inside this stadium here in Rustenburg.
Oh, sorry, I would have thought you would. I thought you'd have a yen for such a story.
The yen at the moment is certainly with the Japanese players. They lead Denmark by a goal to nil. Honda with it, his second of this World Cup tournament in South Africa, and it's cleared away by Tulio. A little exchange of passes on the edge of the penalty area between Honda and Akubo, and he was dragged down by Aga, and it's going to be a free kick to Japan, about 5 or 6 yards outside the D. In fact, it was Per Kroldrup who got the final touch on the Japanese player, and Kroldrup has been shown a yellow card for that challenge, and this, Jan Molby, is very much within the range of Honda.
Well, from there you'd fully expect him to have a shot, but Kroldrup was just caught. He was caught short. The Japanese have gone to play a 1-2 around him. As the player's gone the wrong side of him, he's just dragged him down, and we're now looking at 23, 24 yards out, right central in front of the goal.
Well, Yasuhito Endo from Gamba Osaka is standing over this ball, and he's certainly placed it down, the number 7, with his hands on his hips. Honda seems to want to own the ball. He won't move away from it with the yellow boots on, stood just behind it. Denmark have got a very big wall erected. They've got 14 players in their side that are over 6 feet. They're a very big team, so it is quite an obstacle, that wall. That's about 3 or 4 yards inside the penalty area. Honda with a long run up, Endo with a shorter one, and it's dead centre, 25 yards from Sorensen's goal. Endo hits it! That's a brilliant free kick by Endo! Sorensen got nowhere near it, no doubt about that. Denmark 0, Japan 2, Endo with an absolute cracker.
No doubt about that one whatsoever. As much as we criticised Sorensen for the first one, we expected Honda to go for the second one as well. He doesn't. Endo with his right foot over the wall into the bottom corner. This time, no chance for the goalkeeper. 2-0 Japan, Denmark heading home.
Well, what a fantastic strike that was. We've just seen the replay, and there is nothing that Thomas Sorensen can do about that whatsoever. You couldn't have walked to the goal with the ball in your hand and placed it in a better position than Endo managed to do with his right foot. 2-0 Japan lead, and now all of a sudden, Jan Molby, you wonder just how Denmark are going to respond to this, because they started the game the better, they had opportunities, they didn't take them, and they find themselves now in a huge hole thanks to 2 set pieces.
Yeah, they do indeed, but the thing is, with the way that the game is, Denmark are still going to be allowed to see plenty of the ball, so I don't think the heads will drop. They'll still be able to create chance and push men forward. Just need, I think, one before half-time.
Here's Endo coming forward for Japan, who really have got their tails up now. Charging over the halfway line on the far side is Kamano. Played out to Akobo, into the centre towards Endo, and cleared away from the edge of the 6-yard box by Christian Poulsen for Denmark, as Japan came forward very, very quickly on the attack on that occasion. There is also a theory now that should Cameroon manage to beat Holland in the other game taking place tonight in Cape Town, then Japan, if they can score another couple of goals against the seemingly shell-shocked Danish side, might just finish up as the winners of Group E, which of course could make all the difference for them as the tournament unfolds. 2-0 they lead Denmark here. At the moment, a draw in the other Group E match currently taking place in Cape Town would be enough for Holland to top the group regardless of what Japan do. But here they come on the attack again, because Denmark have given the ball away, and it's a shot from the edge of the penalty area by Matsui, which is charged down by Krolldrup, and then Honda is tackled by the blonde-haired figure of Christian Poulsen. They've got to regroup, this Danish side. Still plenty of time in this match, and still enough evidence in the early minutes of this game that they can create opportunities. But it's one heck of a hole they find themselves in. They now have to score 3 goals or go out of this World Cup tournament. Poulsen for Denmark, midway inside the Japan half, out towards the pacey Rommedahl on this right hand side, draws 2 defenders, rolls it back then towards Jakobsen, then infield to Poulsen, and then back out to the right touchline, and Rommedahl again. They've got 6 behind the ball at the moment, Japan. Rommedahl plays it square to Martin Jorgensen, left foot shot, hits the defender Tullio inside the D, and spins back to Agger. Agger's going to hit it hard and low, and this time Nakazawa blocks it and almost lost his balance in doing so. Everybody apart from Sorensen is inside Japan's half of the field, and the ball is on the left hand side with Kallenberg down the line towards Simon Poulsen. He looked like he bundled Nakazawa, the defender, over. The referee from South Africa agrees, and that's going to be a free kick right by the dead ball line to Japan. And already, Jan Molby, Denmark are preparing to make a change and send on Jakob Poulsen.
Yeah, and I'm not surprised. What Denmark are going to be looking for now is mobile players. The coach Morten Olsen has gone for experience. 7 players in the starting 11 over 30 or above, and I think Martin Jorgensen will be the man to make way. Get Jakob Poulsen in there, the man who scored the all-important winner against Sweden in the qualifiers. Get him in there, a bit of enthusiasm, a bit of power on his legs.
Well, the old saying is that desperate times call for desperate measures. These are desperate times, and Jan Molby's got it spot on. The very experienced Martin Jorgensen, the captain of Denmark, is coming off, and Jakob Poulsen, the third Poulsen on the pitch for Denmark, is going to come on. Now what does... Well, we'll get Jan's thoughts on Jakob Poulsen after Pat Murphy's told us about another wicket in Cardiff. Pat.
Andrew Strauss has gone, Darren. Caught in ball by Horitz for 51. He didn't quite get to the pitch of the ball. That's an important wicket. He played very expansively, 51 or 56 balls. Collingwood there on 12. In comes Owen Morgan. Brilliant 100 the other night. See how he goes tonight. 109 for 3 in the 20th over. 240 the target in 50.
Thanks, Pat. Denmark 0, Japan 2 here in Group E of the World Cup in Rustenburg. And here come Morten Olsen's side. It's Kallenberg inside the box, out to Rommedahl. First time ball into the centre, steered away by Nakazawa, and then picked up by Honda just short of the halfway line as Japan in all blue can regroup, regain possession and try and come forward. And Endo, who got the second goal magnificently to his captain Hasibi, and then out towards Honda on the left-hand side. Akubo wanted that ball a bit more there than Christian Poulsen. Japan continued to come forward until the foot-in is made by Jakob Poulsen. He gets the ball to Lars Jakobsen, and now Christian Poulsen has the possession midway inside his own half for Denmark. So what does Jakob Poulsen bring to this Danish side, Jan, that maybe Martin Jorgensen didn't do?
Well, I think Martin Jorgensen, as an international footballer, has had his better days. He's a great passer of the ball, but he doesn't cover any great distances.
Jakobsen's ball in towards the edge of the penalty area, just too high for Bentner, who hopefully appealed for a penalty because of handball by Kamano that the referee was never going to give. Here's Matsui on the far side, away from Simon Poulsen, who then lunged in to win the challenge. The ball's gone out of a Danish leg, and it's a throw into Japan inside the Denmark half on the right hand side. So here it's Denmark 0, Japan 2 through Honda and Endo. And in Cape Town at the moment, Cameroon 0, Holland 0. If it stays as it is now, Holland win the group with 7 points. Japan finish second with 6. Japan would play Paraguay, and Holland would take on Slovakia. Here's Nicholas Bentner for Denmark. Loses the ball, but it's won back well by Thomason. The ball then to Bentner again, who spins inside the Japanese half, floats it forward. Rommedahl gives chase. He's not going to catch it despite his pace, and it's behind for a goal kick to Japan. Now there's been a goal in Cape Town. Which way has it gone, David Oates?
It's gone, perhaps predictably, Darren, to the Dutch. It's Cameroon 0, Holland 1. The goal from Robin van Persie, a lovely flowing move as well, involving 3 or 4 Dutch players, including Kout and Van der Vaart. And Van Persie stuck the ball through Sulemanu, the Cameroon goalkeeper's legs, from about 10 yards out. Cameroon 0, Holland 1, and they deserve it. And there's commentary, as I mentioned earlier, online on the 5 Live website on this game in Cape Town.
Thanks, David. That's Robin van Persie's first goal of this World Cup in South Africa. Just a reminder as well, from 9:30, we've got the England media bubble for you. Ian McGarry in the chair, along with Brian Woolnough, Henry Winter and Sean Custis, reflecting on yesterday's win for England and what the rest of the World Cup might bring for Fabio Capello's side. Here's Kallenberg on the left side of the Japan penalty area to Simon Poulsen. Poulsen with a low cross, blocked on the far side by Kamano, and then hooked away by the Japan captain Hasebe. Honda doesn't control it, doesn't matter. It's whacked away by Matsui all the way through for a Danish throw-in about 5 yards away from their corner flag in the left back position, which the goalkeeper Sorensen actually thought about taking.
Yeah, it's a strange game, isn't it? You would think, a lot of teams are winning a game after 37 minutes would be dominating, but the Japanese are not. Denmark are dominating. All the plays almost in Japan's half. But you have to say, goalkeeping mistake and a great free kick, take nothing away from them. They took their chances and they're defending well. They're well organised. Denmark's best players can't get into the game.
Here's the man who's got one of the best goals of this World Cup tournament so far, Yasuhito Endo, with that fantastically struck right foot free kick from 25 yards. Forward to Matsui, who spins away from Poulsen just outside the Danish penalty area. Up the line it goes from Kamano. Poulsen comes across with a challenge. Matsui went to ground. It's gone out of play, and it's a throw into Denmark on the far side. So Morten Olsen, the very experienced former player and now coach of Denmark, has made the one change, taking off Jorgensen and sending on Jakob Poulsen. I would hazard a guess, Jan, that young Christian Eriksen is right at the forefront of his mind, even at this early stage of the match.
Yeah, absolutely. He plays in behind strikers. He's got real ability. 2 good quick feet. He sees a pass, he can score a goal. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. Maybe not at half time, but pretty soon after, if Denmark don't get himself back into the game.
Just looking around this stadium, we've got a half-hearted Mexican wave. It's kind of rolling round. 1 or 2 people are doing it, 1 or 2 aren't. Looks like a slow motion version of the Mexican wave. Denmark 0, Japan 2 here on 5 Live from the BBC in Rustenburg, and the ball is with Lars Jakobsen midway inside the Japan half on the right. Little ball into the field, the feet of Thomasen, the captain of Denmark, and then Thomasen will roll it out towards this right hand side, misses out. Christian Poulsen finds Rommedahl, and now Thomasen. And then to Jakob Poulsen out towards Simon Poulsen on the left. 3-way to the middle for a cross. Poulsen tries to spin away from Matsui, gets half a yard, delivers the ball in. Matsui, did he get a block on that? Not according to the referee. Poor cross, and it's behind for a goal kick to Japan. I've seen 1 or 2 strange things in this World Cup. I saw a really strange one before the kick-off. Nicholas Bentner, as we know when he plays for Arsenal, wears the white bandages outside of his socks, the strapping outside the socks. He was still on the pitch with a red marker, and he's coloured it in to try and match the socks. Yeah. I'm not quite sure what that's all about.
Well, maybe you're not allowed to wear little white ankle socks.
He spent long enough colouring it in before the game started, that's for sure. So 2-0.
Let's hope it brings him a bit
Denmark of luck. Japan lead here with 6 minutes of the first half to go. And it's a free kick to Japan from almost the same spot, Jan, where Honda smashed in the first goal.
They'll shoot again. Japan, that's for sure. Honda's there with his left foot. Well, they're actually both there.
Here comes the Mexican wave. Are you ready? Jan Mulby, former Danish international, not really in the mood right now.
I'm not going to join in that one.
Not joining that one, no. Until it gets a bit more warmed up.
It's filled up though, hasn't it?
It has, yeah. It's slightly fuller than it was when we got here.
I think they just opened the gates once the kick-off was. They realised there wasn't many in. Opened the gates, let them in.
Free kick, Honda's going to strike it. Right-footed, similar kind of strike. Didn't get it anywhere near the goal this time. It's headed away by Kroldrup and then hit forward towards the Seavey, intercepted by the Danish defence. And Jakob Poulsen can play it down the left-hand side to Thomas Kallenberg. His pass was intended for Thomasen. Hits a Japanese player on the halfway line, and Seavey to Nakazawa, and then to Matsui. Just for a second there, had wriggled away from Simon Poulsen. He's managed to recover. Challenge comes in on the far side over there by Kallenberg. Denmark want a handball, which is not given. Japan have the possession with Honda, with the gloves on. Little flick by Matsui, intercepted by Christian Poulsen, and then Jakob Poulsen can bring it forward towards halfway. That's a heavily hit ball too far in front of Thomasen, intercepted by Tulio, and Japan have got it back again with Hasebe. Here's Honda, nice ball out to Matsui, into the middle towards Kubo, went for the bicycle kick, my fall for Hasebe, keeps it in play, can't get the shot away, delivers the cross, blocked by Kroldrup, and then cleared away down the left-hand side by Poulsen, but that's hit Matsui, and he's in behind Poulsen at the byline, pulled back by Matsui. Hasebe drags the cross into the middle behind Endo, and it'll float out of play on this near side, the Danish right, for a throw into Denmark. Japan leading 2-0. Jan Molby.
They play a very decisive game, don't they, Japan? They don't believe in a lot of possession, but when they have the ball, they have clear moves that they do, and they very, very quickly get themselves into situations where they can either shoot or put the ball into the penalty box. So you have to give him credit. Very, very efficient.
This is 5 Live from the BBC. We are officially your World Cup station. All 64 games from the ground, including this one here tonight. Denmark in a big hole. They've got to score 3 or they're out of the competition. Japan leading 2-0. 2 free kicks from Honda and Endo inside the opening half an hour of this match. There's a foul by Honda on Daniel Agger, and a free kick to Denmark in a central position, and an opportunity for them with just less than 3 minutes of this first half to go. Couple more matches tomorrow. Group G at 3 o'clock. Portugal, Brazil, and North Korea, Ivory Coast, and then 7:30 Chile against Spain and Switzerland against Honduras. There's another one of the big guns going to fall by the wayside in the World Cup tomorrow. Italy gone today, France gone already, and England through by the skin of their teeth. Here Denmark facing elimination unless they can turn this around. Japan leading 2-0, and Denmark have this free kick, an awfully long way out from Kawashima's goal. Poulsen and Kallenberg, and Simon Poulsen standing over it. Surely he's not going to shoot from this kind of range.
I doubt it very much.
2-man Japanese wall. It's touched to Simon Poulsen, then laid off to Christian Poulsen. He hits it, and it's a pretty comfortable save in the end for Kawashima. Jan Molby.
Smart little routine from the training ground. Worked it well enough, but it's a long way out to strike. He hits it well enough, Poulsen, straight at the goalkeeper though.
It's noticeable, Jan, the longer this tournament's gone on, and you were a very elegant ball player and a fantastic striker of football. This ball that was under the spotlight for the opening couple of matches, they're striking it much better now, the players.
Yeah, I mean, they're of course also using it for training, so they are getting more and more used to it.
Kamano into the penalty area. Kamano went for goal himself from a ridiculously tight angle, and Sorensen watched that rise over his hands. I think he might have got a touch to it, the Danish keeper. If so, it's going to be a corner to Japan. And he got in behind them there, the right back Kamano, and he got himself into a shooting position and couldn't quite find the target.
It's the same again though, isn't it? Very, very clear, decisive move. Only 3 Japanese players involved. Overlap, fullbacks away, in behind the Danish fullback, shooting chance. Yes, it was a difficult angle, but nevertheless another good chance.
They look a little bit quick and a little bit too bright at times, don't they, Japan?
That was the one thing I'm worried about, whether Denmark would recover physically from the 2 games they've had, and people say, why shouldn't they? The reason is that a lot of Danish players came into this tournament injured, and a lot of them don't play at their clubs.
Japan corner, low from the right. That's controlled impressively by Kallenberg at the near post and cleared away. Thomason lets it run, didn't fall for Jakob Poulsen, and it's picked up on the halfway line by Hasibi. That's forward towards Daisuke Matsui. He tried to use the chest to pass the ball out to Kamano. All he's done is deflected out of play for a throw into Denmark on the left-hand side in the final few seconds of this first half, which Japan have scored 2 set pieces. Denmark have had opportunities of their own but haven't managed to take them, and at the moment it's Japan going through from Group E, along with Holland, who lead Cameroon by a 1-0 tonight in Cape Town. Arsenal's Robin van Persie with his first of the tournament. Rommedahl down the line, poor pass towards Jakobsen, easily intercepted by Nagatomo, the left back of Japan, and then played away by Tullio. And we've got 2 minutes of stoppage time at the end of this first half, and I'm pretty sure, Jan, that Morten Olsen will just want his side to regroup a wee bit at half-time, and he might just tinker with 1 or 2 things.
Yeah, he might, but I don't know whether he'll chase anything at half-time, because he's made a substitution already. But I will guarantee you what he will do. He'll let him know. You know, he is still, old-type manager from time to time, and he will let him know. So you see him there with his papers now getting ready.
His opposite number, Takeshi Okada, just further down the touchline in the technical area with his familiar long dark coat on and black trousers. He retires from international football after this tournament. Says he's going to be a farmer after this World Cup in South Africa. I hazard a guess that if he gets Japan through to the last 16, someone might buy him a farm or something like that to wish him well in retirement, because it would be a very significant moment for Japan if they could reach the last 16 of a World Cup outside of their own country. They managed to do it as co-hosts in 2002, and they've not managed to do it since then. And they lead Denmark here by 2-0, and they've got a very big cushion between themselves and the Danes on a winner-takes-all night here in Rustenburg, and they're looking the more likely to add to their lead, because Denmark's fire has rather burned out since Endo got that second goal. Here is the man who got it, Endo, and then a Kubo into the midfield towards Hasibi, and then to Abe. Not mentioned him much tonight, the holding midfield player. and then out towards Matsui on the right, Honda in the middle, crossed in towards Honda, Aga defends it, Honda's got the ball now on the right edge of the penalty area, moves back out towards the touchline to Hasibi, closed down over there by Poulsen. Surely Kamano stood offside, he was, flag went up quickly, and that's a free kick to Denmark.
Yeah, you just said it, didn't you? The Danish fire appeared to have gone out. They had chances before Japan scored, since nothing. And you have to say, although Denmark still seeing the most of the ball, Japan are now officially a better team.
Well, the referee, Jerome Damon from South Africa, blows the half-time whistle. Japan are 45 minutes away from a place in the last 16 thanks to 2 free kicks. Honda's from fully 30 yards, Endo's from slightly nearer but much more precise, bending the ball brilliantly round the Danish wall and into the left corner as Sorensen was left stranded. Denmark, have they got an answer, Jan Molden?
Well, at the moment you wouldn't think so. They started well, quite crisp, and I think if Denmark would have got the first goal, they might have been able to lift their play. But since they've gone behind, there doesn't look to be an awful lot in the tank. But there's still 45 minutes to go. The coach will now have to earn his money, and hopefully in the second half, a quick early goal, we might just have a game on our hands.
Half-time in Rustenburg with the Japanese fans celebrating on the far side. Denmark 0, Japan 2.
We're underway here in Rustenburg with Japan leading Denmark by 2-0. It is Denmark who are facing an early exit from this World Cup, and the flag stays down, and Akobo is away over on that far side to the left. He looks for a little bit of support as the ball is played all the way across the back of the the Denmark defence. He was looking towards Hasebe, who'd made that run through, bursting from midfield, and there's no signs already in these opening 30 seconds, Jan Molby, of any improvement, judging by that, for Denmark.
No, it was the same picture as we saw in the first half. Japan very decisive, one long ball in behind, and again they were away. Jacobs was claiming that he'd had a slight punch in the face, just showing the replay. Yes, the Japanese player probably raised his hand, might have caught him slightly, but referee played on.
So Japan leading by 2-0 here in Rustenburg as Bentner for Denmark. Inside to Poulsen, Jakob Poulsen, whose low cross is pulled. Jandal Thomason couldn't get there, but it came off a Japan player, so it will be a corner kick that Kallenberg will take. He'll run through the two teams, but Denmark in their red shirts and white shorts and red socks playing from right to left, and Kallenberg with the corner kick in towards the 6-yard area, headed away by Honda, and then he was pulled down by Christian Poulsen. Should say as well that just during the end of the first half, and certainly during the half-time interval, a quite eerie mist has been rolling off the top of this stand as we sit in the main stand here at Rustenburg, and just drifting across the pitch, rolling away off the stands as the temperature certainly drops a little bit more. Japan leading by 2-0, and the two teams line up as follows, with Sorensen in goal, Lars Jakobsen of Blackburn Rovers, Per Kroldrup, the former Everton defender, and Liverpool's Daniel Agger, and Simon Poulsen making up the defence. A midfield of Dennis Rommedahl, Christian Poulsen, Jakob Poulsen, Thomas Kallenberg, with John Dahl Thomason just behind Arsenal's Nicholas Bentner, as a yellow card is shown to Christian Poulsen, and that is the second yellow card to be shown to one of the Danes this evening, during joining Kroldrup in the book of referee Jerome Damon, the South African official, who I'm sure, with South Africa's exit from this competition, will still harbour hopes of maybe refereeing the final on July the 11th. As Sorensen, that was a free kick from Endo. It must have been 10 yards inside the Denmark half. It was sailing, no problems whatsoever towards Sorensen. And then all of a sudden, he lost it just at the last moment, and it actually pushed it onto the post. And that could have been further humiliation for the Stoke City goalkeeper, who was badly at fault for the first goal. That was almost shades of, was it Ronaldinho from the distance over David Seaman?
From the distance, certainly. The first thing we have to say, it wasn't a shot on target, it was a cross that he got horribly wrong. And Sorensen, there was no Japanese players going in to try and challenge nothing. Get all the time in the world, just pick it up and let's go and play. And as you rightly said, he lost the ball and almost, he was lucky he pushed it onto the post. Could have been another goal.
Well, he's been first choice since replacing Peter Schmeichel, 9 years ago, but he certainly hasn't inspired any confidence whatsoever for the Danish defenders playing in front of him, as a free kick is given, a direct free kick. He'll run through the Japanese side once we've watched this free kick taken, where Denmark, needing to win this game, remember, and they're trailing by 2-0, need a way back into the game, just to give them some hope of trying to turn this one around. On a day where the world champions Italy have already crashed out of this World Cup here in South Africa. Well, there's plenty of takers left of centre, about 6 yards away from the corner of the penalty area. Kallenberg, Bentner, and I think Daniel Agger is the other player who's just having his two-penneth. He backpedals away. It'll be Kallenberg or Bentner. Bentner with his self-belief will want to take it. He does, right-footed, doesn't get the elevation, and strikes the four-man wall, and it goes out of play for a throw.
Yeah, it's one of those situations, isn't it? I don't think I've ever seen Nicholas Bentner score a free kick, but he feels, doesn't he, as the talisman of the team, he needs to take those free kicks. I'm sure that the coach will be raging, because no doubt the agreement was that it would be either Kallenberg or Agger should take it from that angle.
Agger goes long with a throw, headed away by Hasebe. Jakob Poulsen steers it back towards Jakobsen, who skies the ball in the air, and it's headed away over on that far side. And now all of a sudden there's a counter-attack as the ball is not long towards Honda, but Simon Poulsen was back covering, and the ball bounces into the arms of Sorensen. The Japanese side is Kawashima in goal, a back four of Komono, Tulio, Nakazawa and Nagatomo. As Denmark play the ball out towards Bentner, strikes his right thigh, back out towards Simon Poulsen, the left back, plays it forward to Bentner, stabs it back towards Simon Poulsen. Bentner now coming in field with the ball at his feet, rolls it across towards that far side, the right. Rommedahl waits, Rommedahl's cross, chipped into the penalty area, past three Danish players, the head of Thomason who couldn't get there. It then bypassed Bentner, and it was Kallenberg arriving at the far post who put it wide.
Yeah, I think if anything, Kallenberg was probably just a little bit surprised that the ball eventually found his way through to him, and he couldn't react quickly enough to get a shot with his left foot. But better from Denmark, trust from Rommedahl, had four players in the penalty box.
So, here in Rustenburg, it is Japan leading by 2-0. 6 minutes played in the second half. Don't forget you can download your World Cup Daily podcast off the 5 Live website. There will, I'm sure, be reaction to that defeat for Italy today. And the winners of this particular game, which will be Japan unless Denmark can stage a dramatic recovery, will be playing Paraguay as a result in Pretoria on June the 29th, because remember, Holland are leading Cameroon by a goal to nil in Cape Town, and commentary of that game is on the 5 Live website as the ball is kicked into the penalty area. Bentner to Thomason to stab it in, and stabs it wide, and in fact it took a deflection and it's gone behind for a corner kick to Japan, and still that goal eludes John Dahl Thomason.
Again, it's the cross in, Bentner's flick on, Thomason just gets in behind the defender, and you could see what he wanted to do as he controls the ball. He just wants to lift it over the goalkeeper, but the goalkeeper's very quick off his line, and by the time he tries to lift it, the goalkeeper's right there, blocks it, goes out for the corner.
Well, Kawashima was certainly extremely brave, but he's picked up a knock in the process. He, of course, had denied John Dahl Thomason in the first half. He did ever so well against England in that World Cup warm-up game in Graz, and he's now getting some treatment. So I gave you the Japanese defence, the Hasebe, Hebe, Endo, Matsui, Okobo and Honda, Keisuke Honda, who has certainly caused a stir in Holland 2 years ago before eventually moving to CSK Moscow back in last December. He had been at Venlo, and a lot of clubs in Europe were starting to watch this 23-year-old who is a talismanic figure for Japan, as a corner is taken for Denmark, as Kawashima is back on his feet and play is back underway. But Japan lead Denmark by 2-0, and this will be Nakazawa who will leave it towards Kawashima, and in his first World Cup finals the 27-year-old holds onto that ball as each minute ticks by. Japan are edging towards the knockout stages, and historic progress as far as they are concerned, because of course they did make it through to the last 16 when they were co-hosts 8 years ago, but it would be the first time they've done or achieved such a feat on foreign soil. And of course it would mean as well that Asia are well represented, with South Korea facing Uruguay in the last 16. The last 16 lineup is nearly complete, as here we are in Rustenburg with Denmark building from the back and Agger striding forward, going on a marauding run, but in the end overrunning the ball. And then it's Hasebe to Okobo, and on the overlap is Nagatomo, and Nagatomo comes forward. It's a strong run infield. Nagatomo shoots from a good distance, and it sails over Sorensen's goal.
Yeah, you have to expect to see a little bit of that. Denmark pushing, committing people forward, and it's just so easy for Japan going the other way. I mean, he must have carried the ball about 40 yards. No real challenge for any Danish players. In the end, he actually ends up with almost a clear sight of goal that goes a long, long way over the crossbar.
Of course, it's wall-to-wall sport really on 5 Live over these next few days or so. Of course, as Wimbledon is underway, and today Rafael Nadal was certainly put through his paces, a rigorous test, but eventually through, the champion of 2008 through to the 3rd round after winning in 5 sets. As Honda comes forward and looks to go on the outside of Aga. Aga leans into Honda, and Honda stumbles and stalls and falls to the floor, and that'll be a free kick to Japan as they look to press their advantage home even further.
Yeah, they do, without overcommitting. But I think you have to say it's one of those anyway. Honda just bought his team a free kick, gives them a little bit of a breather, gets everybody in Denmark's half, and nice and easy for them, because Denmark haven't really caused them any problems, although Denmark are just about to make their 2nd substitution of the game.
He was just looking to go through the gears, I think, was Honda there. As Japan lead by 2-0. What was that look for? Jan, as the free kick is taken, headed out by Simon Paulson at the near post. Why did you look aghast when I just said that?
I think jokes are meant to be funny.
This is Tullio winning it back for Japan, and Simon Paulson comes across, and it'll be a Japan throw in as Denmark make the change. And who is this coming on? It's Søren Larsen who's going to be coming on, and making way is Kroldrup. So they're having to go for it now, aren't they, really?
Yeah, absolutely, and it's probably going to be the fact that Jakobsen might have to go and play as a centre-half alongside Aga, unless Denmark go 3-5-2, that's also a possibility. But Larsen, out-and-out striker, very good in the air.
Well, he's certainly got a very good track record with 11 goals in his, 17 games, I think it is, but he's the equivalent, really, of a flat-track bully in cricketing parlance, because 9 of his goals have come against teams such as Malta, Albania and Georgia. However, he was very impressive in qualifying with 5 goals in 5 games, and Denmark really do have to throw caution to the wind with 56 minutes played, trailing by 2-0. But here's Japan on the attack, ball into the penalty area. Aga was there, Jakob Poulsen gives it away, and Japan are back in possession with Honda. Akobo is in a bit of space on that far side. They're going through the middle. It's back towards Honda. The flag is up. The ball was played through by Endo. Had he just gone out to the left, Akobo would have had a clear sight of goal, but they went to go through the centre of the penalty area, and Honda had just triggered the offside flag.
Well, how easy was that? What actually happened was,
too easy.
Yes, but when Larsen came on as a substitute, I don't think they had any time to give instructions, but he actually looks like it, which is crazy, that Denmark are just going to play with 2 fullbacks, Aga playing as a centre-half on his own up against Honda, and it's just all-out gamble.
If you're listening to 5 Live and you've maybe done a sweepstake or entering a prediction competition in your office, and you'll have noted that Denmark qualified as group winners in a group that included Portugal and Sweden, you may be dismayed to realise that they're on the verge of going out. Why is it that a team who does qualify in such style, Jan, then can stumble so badly here on the big stage?
Well, what was said at the time when Denmark qualified for the World Cup is that had a lot of luck at the right times. Started with 2 away games, Hungary and Portugal away. It was a real gamble by the coach. 2-0 in Budapest against Hungary in one of the worst internationals you've ever seen. Then they go to Portugal, hardly touch the ball, get completely outplayed, score 2 goals in injury time to win through 3-2, and then there was a run of 5 games that they all won, and by the time they come to play Sweden and Portugal, then they were out of sight. But they have not played well for almost a full year. The best performance was the one the other day against Cameroon. That is Denmark's best performance for over 12 months.
Well, here is the former Danish international and Liverpool midfielder Jan Molby with us here on 5 Live as Romadal, ex of Charlton, inside to Kallenberg, lays it off. Jakob Poulsen with a shot, and it was Kawashima who beat the ball away, just moving gently away to his right. His body bit was behind the ball. It was struck so true by Jakob Poulsen. But it was a decent height for the goalkeeper from the throw. Simon Poulsen, left-hand side, crosses into the penalty area. Stretching was Bender and then Thomason. And Denmark will wait, Japan will wait for the ball to settle before the ball is volleyed away. Shoots of encouragement maybe for Denmark as it's up towards Bender once again. Romadal is out wide right, the ball though won't reach him. Bender sold him short. Romadal wins it back. Denmark midway through the Japan half, trailing by 2-0. Nearly an hour played. And a free kick given away.
Got the hands full, Japan. Every time there's a cross coming in, Denmark got at least 3 players in there. Thomas and Bentner, and also Larsen, who've just come on as a substitute. So slightly more difficult for Japan at the moment to defend against.
So this free kick is midway through the Japan half, and Denmark in their red shirts looking for a goal to reduce the arrears, trailing 2-0 here in Rustenburg. As the sound of the vuvuzelas is in the distance as Kallenberg, standing behind the ball, and it's Aga's shot in the end with his left foot. He had a real swing at that one, but Kawashima was well positioned, and it was good handling by the Japanese goalkeeper. As we'll go to Cardiff and get an update from England against Australia in the second one-dayer. England's target, remember, is 240. How are they doing, Pat?
They're strolling at the moment, 156 for 3. They need just 84 off the remaining 20 overs. Morgan, playing with his customary dexterity and boldness, is on 25. A magnificent reverse sweep shot just now for a boundary. Collingwood loves these circumstances, chiseling out the runs on the slow pitch. 32, 156 for 3, 30 overs gone, 50 available, 240 the target, Ian.
Cheers, Pat, and commentary continues on 5 Live Sports Extra here in Rustenburg. Japan leading by 2-0. 2 free kicks in the first half as Simon Paulson weaves on this left-hand side. Kallenberg's crossing to the penalty area, but it was a very good header under pressure from Nakazawa. But they're still on the back foot of Japan, but they do have, of course, that 2-goal cushion as the ball is back towards Jakobsen. Once at Everton, limited appearances though at Goodison Park, and then played 12 appearances last year at Blackburn Rovers, but his cross is too deep and it bounces out of play for a goal kick. And just after building up that head of steam, it peters out into nothing really from the Danes.
Yeah, I mean, it lacks a little bit, doesn't it? You know, Denmark are not quite cute enough. They're just getting the ball out wide, whether it's a fullback or the wide midfield man. They just put crosses into the penalty box willy-nilly, and that is obviously the way that they want to go from now to the end of the match.
Well, Takeshi Okada, the Japanese coach, was taken out earlier in the year by Arsene Wenger, and Arsene Wenger actually said to him, he said, if you get out of this group, they should build a statue of you in the middle of Tokyo, you'll deserve it. Well, they might well start casting the mould for Takeshi Okada, who during the warm-up game against South Korea, it was rumoured that he'd actually handed in his resignation. That's how inept they were. They had a terrible, terrible run of form coming into this World Cup competition. But in his second spell, he has certainly rallied the troops as the cross comes in from the right-hand side from Romadal, but it was headed away by the Japanese defence, and this is Simon Paulson once again. The left back for Denmark on the halfway line. Triangular passing movement between him, Aga, and Jakob Poulsen. Here is Jakob Poulsen collecting the ball with his right foot towards Thomason. Just trying to suck that Japanese defence out, but Abe, who has just sat the holding midfielder, good discipline throughout the game in front of that back forward, trapped Thomason. And once again he goes with him as Thomason actually hauls him to the ground. The referee says play on, as now this is Endo coming forward, looking towards Honda. Played a little bit behind Honda, who had to stick it in reverse to try and keep the ball in play. And in fact it will be a throw to Japan as the third and final change comes on for Denmark. And this is the rising star of Danish football, Eriksen.
Yeah, it's probably a lot to ask, isn't it, of a young man to come on in a game like this, but he is going to be a star, that's for sure. He's at Ajax at the moment, he's just renewed his contract, but I'm sure in a year or two he'll be playing in one of the big leagues, and believe me, a real player.
Penalty in Cape Town, David Oates.
A penalty to Cameroon. I'll tell you how it came about in just a moment, but Samuel Eto'o up against Martin Stecklenburg. Eto'o with his hands on his hips just inside the penalty area. He waits. The Dutch goalkeeper stands stock still on his line. Eto'o steps up. That's a really, really good penalty into the bottom right hand corner, and Cameroon, who've come on strong in the last 10 minutes, have the equaliser. The penalty decision came from a free kick. It was whipped in by Jeremy. Van der Vaart had his arm raised, and the Chilean referee had no hesitation in pointing to the spot. Possibly a trifle harsh, but definitely the arm was raised, and that's as good a penalty as you'll see. Cameroon won, the Netherlands won.
Thanks, David. And commentary of that game is on the 5 Live website. online from Cape Town, where Holland, even though pegged back by Cameroon, should still finish top of Group A, but it'll be Japan going through with them, because this will be Japan's second victory of this World Cup. And when you consider that coming into this World Cup they'd only scored this game only 9 goals in 12 World Cup games, to score 2 is a real fillip for the Japanese. In a minute though, it's their defence that have got some work to do as a long throw comes in, but the referee spotted some pushing from Bentner, gives the free kick to Japan. And also as well, this is the third successive game that they've played with the same side, an unchanged lineup. There's a very settled feel about the Japanese, which helps.
And you can see that, and you can see there's an awful lot of set moves, not just from set pieces, but from general play. You know, if the right back goes, then the defensive midfield will shuffle across. They never leave themselves exposed, but they do have a very good idea, and they do very quick how they can get to chances, and they've had a few in this game, that's for sure.
Here's Honda to Okobo. Endo goes on the overlap. Okobo shoots straight into the midriff of Thomas Sorensen, just rising on the ball of his toes, and then he throws the ball out, and all of a sudden Eriksson scampers away on this side, threads it through towards Bentner. Little layup to Jakob Poulsen, but it's cleared on the volley by Hasebe. And once again Japan quite happy just to sit back in their all royal blue as the Japanese supporters wave their white and royal blue balloons over on that far side, on that bottom tier of this bowl-like arena here in Rustenburg. Happy and content in the knowledge that they have a 2-goal cushion, and they're heading through towards the knockout stages of the World Cup finals here in South Africa, as Bentner is shown a yellow card, and frustration etched on the face of the Arsenal striker.
Yeah, it's just a little bit direct what Denmark are doing at the moment, and Bentner's really getting frustrated. He's involved with the centre halves, he's not winning these headers this time. I think it was just a raised elbow into the face of the defender. Referee spots it, gives a free kick and a booking.
They do defend well though, Japan. I mean, when they played England came from behind but required 2 own goals for the first time that had actually happened at an England international to beat the Japanese after they'd taken an early lead in that game in Austria. So while the result may have deflated them, certainly the performance I don't think necessarily did for Takeshi Okada's side. And here they are leading the Danes by 2-0 as Jakob Poulsen. But despite having a lot of possession in this second half, you never really sense that the Japanese defence has been stretched.
No, they're not over worried by the fact that Denmark had the ball most of the game. And we said before, Denmark's strength is counter-attacking. And this game was always going to be difficult. A lot of possession, don't quite have the quality players that can open up. Japan have not managed to get in and around them, get to byline, put in crosses. And they're quite happy, Japan, which is a surprise, but they're quite happy to defend high balls.
And there's almost now a resigned look about the Danes.
It appears that way, doesn't it? The only thing that could just give it a little kickstart before the end is a goal, but you just feel that if there's going to be another goal, it's probably going to be Japan on the counter.
They need a change of fortune to revive their hopes as the minutes tick away. 5 Live, your World Cup station here in Rustenburg, with Japan leading Denmark by 2-0. Jakob Poulsen towards Rommersol. Rommedahl plays the 1-2. Christian Poulsen keeps the ball moving, flicking it forward towards Jandal Thomason. Heads it down now towards Eriksson. Simon Poulsen comes on the overlap left-hand side. It's a low ball into the penalty area, but the Japanese defenders have dropped back as a shot from Eriksson. Flashes over the top, struck it right-footed. Kawashima wasn't really tested. It's a goal kick. We're midway through the second half. Japan are on course for the last 16, leading 2-0. And to take you through the full time, here's Darren Fletcher.
Thanks, Ian. So Paraguay awaiting Japan, unless there's a fantastic comeback in this last 22 minutes from Denmark. But in truth, Jan Molby, it's been far too easy for Japan tonight. It really has, particularly defensively, where they've managed to snuff out Denmark in the main, despite all of that possession that you've talked about.
Yeah, and the longer the game has gone, the more direct, the more rude one Denmark have chosen to go, and that's not working either. The chances came in the first 15 minutes before Japan took the lead. Since then, it's been far too easy for the men in blue.
At the moment, Morten Olsen's side have 4 strikers on the pitch. It's not made an awful lot of difference. Kawashima in the Japan goal has been relatively untested, just 1 or 2 long-range efforts, and those 2 free kicks from in the first half from Honda and Endo. Endo's in particular was fantastic at the difference between these sides, and that's a good ball out towards the left-hand side, and Honda, who was stood offside, and the South African official on the near side raises the flag, It's a free kick to Denmark just outside their own penalty area. In Cape Town, Cameroon 1, Holland 1, Samuel Eto'o equalising Robin van Persie's first half goal. Here it's 2-0 to Japan, and they're pretty much in cruise control. But a Denmark goal might change all of that and lead to one or two worrying moments in the dying moments of this match. Here's Jakob Poulsen, little square pass towards Eriksson, and then out towards Lars Jakobsen, but a space for the fullback. Right-footed cross into the penalty area. Nakazawa heads that ball away, and I think you've got to say that in this World Cup so far, the two centre-backs of Japan, Tulio and Nakazawa, have looked very, very strong performers at international level. Here's Jakob Poulsen, just outside the penalty area. That breaks for Rommedahl. Here's a chance for Thomason. He's totally scuffed it. What an opportunity. And then driven in from inside the penalty area by Poulsen, and ricochets out for a throw-in. They won't get a better opportunity than that, Jan Molby.
No, there was the chance. Rommedahl gets a lucky rebound. He's away to the byline, draws the defender, rolls it back to Thomason. You think, there you go, there's your goal. And he completely misses his shot. That was the chance.
Almost an air shot from Thomason. And Japan survive. Here come Denmark again in their red and white. Powerful run into the penalty area by Aga. And then he felt he was pulled by the Japanese player Hasebi on the edge of the penalty area. The ball ricochets off the Liverpool man, and it's gone behind away to our left-hand side for a goal kick to Japan. There's a banner on the far side that says Pride of Yokohama, Yuji Nakazawa, number 22. And he's been as good as anybody out there in a Japan shirt tonight, yeah.
Yeah, they're playing well. Ian just mentioned the two centre-halves briefly before, and they are good as long as they defend deep, so there's nowhere for strikers to run in behind them. They're okay.
Earlier on today in the World Cup, Slovakia 3, Italy 2, so the world champions of 4 years ago are out, along with France. Paraguay 0, New Zealand 0, so Paraguay top the group. Slovakia finished second, and the winners of this match tonight, Japan at the moment, will play Paraguay in the next round in Pretoria. As Denmark come forward down the right, bit of an ambling run over there by Soren Larsen, runs into a Japanese defender. Little flick by Honda, following the long ball forward. He was trying to get Matsui in, but that's shepherded back to the goalkeeper by Simon Poulsen on this left-hand side. Ian was talking about the lack of form for Japan coming into the tournament. Denmark have lost 4 of their last 6 internationals. The only bright spot, really, was that game against Cameroon, when in all honesty, Jan, Cameroon had enough chances to win that match as well.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. But the game against Cameroon was played the way Denmark likes to play games. At a high tempo, plenty of time, plenty of space. And the flyers in the Danish team, the likes of Rommedahl, had plenty of space to run into. That has not been the case tonight. Therefore, it has not worked for Denmark.
Japan are 18 minutes away from a place in the last 16. Denmark have never failed to get beyond the group stage of a World Cup tournament, unless there's a very big comeback for them here in Rustenburg. That will happen tonight. Matsui's cross, blocked by Aga. It's a very much an attack-minded Danish side now. They've managed to dispose of the defenders. Aga and Jakobsen remain, but apart from that, they're more attack-minded players. Here's the left fullback, Simon Poulsen, who's being urged to get forward by Morten Olsen. Now it's with Christian Poulsen, no relation, on the halfway line of Juventus with the long blonde hair tied in the Alice band. That was hit forward towards Bentner, intercepted easily by Kamano, the fullback, and then played out to Honda. And the fear for Denmark now is they concede a third goal and a clinching goal on the break. Honda's ball to Endo in the penalty area, left-hand side. Across goes Rommedahl, little back heel, Nagatomo on the overlap, drilled in towards Akubo in the middle, and blocked in there by Jakobsen. Still Japan will attack, and the shot will come in from inside the D, straight at Sorensen from Nagatomo, and Sorensen holds it, and the danger is gone.
Yeah, they're enjoying themselves now, Japan. They're running a long way in this game, but they look fresh.
They look a very fit side.
Yeah, they do indeed.
Very well organised side, Jan, as well.
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to be an easy match for anybody.
No, I was just going to say, whoever they play against, and if they go through, it will be Paraguay. It's going to be tough.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I saw them against Holland. You would say one of the better attacking teams in this tournament. And they cope with the movement of the Holland side very impressively. Just that one goal where, Kawashimi probably should have saved it from Wesley Sneijder. Here's Bentner for Denmark, into the box, too far in front of Thomason. And Kawashima, the goalkeeper, clutches that on the edge of the 6-yard box. 28 minutes gone in the second half. On 5 Live from the BBC, your World Cup station. Denmark 0, Japan 2 through Honda, then Endo. And Japan are on their way through to the last 16 of the World Cup in South Africa. Remember, from 9:30 tonight, Ian McGarry's in the chair. It's the... there's going to be a change down there now. We'll just mention this first. The England media bubble. Ian McGarry in the chair, Henry Winter, Sean Custis and Brian Waldo. Here's the change for Japan. And Okazaki is coming on. And is it Matsui who's gone off, the number 8? Yeah, yes it is. Matsui off. And here is Okazaki. Runs at Daniel Agger. Good challenge by Agger on the edge of the Denmark penalty area. And now Simon Poulsen will carry it forward over the halfway line for Denmark. Feeds the ball into young Eriksen's feet. And then back towards Jakob Poulsen, just outside the centre circle. Plenty of red and white shirts are forward in this move. Then again, there always is now, because Denmark have to throw bodies forward and have to take risks in the match. 16 minutes from elimination, unless they can score 3 goals. Christian Poulsen on the right, crossed into the middle towards Søren Larsen, headed on towards Thomason, and a comfortable take inside his 6-yard box for Kawashima. Despite these long balls, Jan, they're not that threatening in the air, Denmark, are they?
No, they're not. And when we saw that high ball come over, Larsen and Bentner's actually took up the same position. Larsen has won the header, headed back across, no one there.
Here's Christian Eriksen, the 18-year-old, the youngest player in the tournament. That's an angled ball towards the edge of the penalty area, looking for Søren Larsen. Tidied up this time by Tulio. The only player in this side not born in Japan. He was born in Brazil, and he's a very strong defender. Romedal's ball in towards Larsen. And this time Tulio's central defensive colleague Nakazawa can head it out for a throw-in on the far side to Denmark.
Yeah, they played ever so well, the two centre-halves. They haven't missed a tackle, they haven't missed a header all game. And not once has Denmark had them on the stretch on the whole night. They've never caught them upfield, they've never caught them unbalanced. Very impressive performance by Japan.
Another high ball into the Japan penalty area, and there's a foul, I think by Larsen this time, backing in according to the referee. And a free kick to Japan inside their own penalty area. Both Nakazawa and Tulio have done better tonight than they did against England, when they both managed to score late own goals in the match.
Well, yeah, there's still time for that.
Yeah. 2-0 Japan lead. There's a small pocket of Japanese fans almost on the halfway line, on the far side of the field here in Rustenburg as we look at it. And they've never stopped jumping up and down. They've got blue and white balloons. They've got Japanese flags. There are 1 or 2 South African flags in there as well. And there's a real party atmosphere in that particular section of the crowd. And then when you look to their left-hand side, lots and lots of glum faces on the faces of the Denmark supporters. Let's get the latest in the cricket in Cardiff. How's it going for England, Pat Murphy?
Swimmingly, Darren. Australia looking down the barrel of a hammering unless they get some quick wickets. England need only another 59 to win. They're 181 for 3. And they've got 15 overs to go after this one. Morgan has been simply Morgan on 33, looking effortless and commanding. Collingwood has passed Alex Stewart as England's all-time one-day record scorer. He is now on 47. 4 more runs there to Morgan, and he's gone on to 37. 185 for 3 in the 35th, 240 the target.
Thanks, Pat. 13 minutes to go here in Rustenburg. Denmark trailing Japan by 2-0. 2 first-half free kicks from Honda and Endo. As Japan come forward down the left-hand side with Honda. Little ball down the line towards Akubo. Akazaki waits in the middle. He's the target. Little flick header held by Sorensen. So let's get the latest from Cape Town. Cameroon against Holland. David Oates.
11.5 minutes to go. Still Cameroon 1, Holland 1. That equaliser from the penalty spot from Samuel Eto'o. But we've just seen Sub Arjen Robben come on for Holland for the first time in this tournament. He's replaced Van der Vaart for the last 18 minutes. One opportunity since you were last here. De Jong for Holland has volleyed just wide from about 8 yards out. But Cameroon have been the better side in the second half and deservedly equalising. It's 1 apiece.
Thanks, David. Coverage of that continues on the 5 Live website with Jackie Oakley and Graham Taylor if you want commentary of that match. As Denmark attack again, wave after wave of Danish attacks, but no problem at all for the Japan defence that have been absolutely superb in this game tonight. They've protected Kawashima exceptionally well. It's easy to pick out the central defenders, Tulio and Nakazawa, but Kamano and Nagatomo, the 2 fullbacks, certainly play their role, and Abe, the holding midfield player, just provides that extra body in the penalty area.
Yeah, it's a very, very strong defensive unit they've got, Japan. Having said that, they're probably quite pleased with the way that the game's gone in terms of it's very one-dimensional what's coming from Denmark now. Just long high balls pumped into the area. Centre-halves, credit to them, are winning everything.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because they seem to cope with the high ball quite well. It was the Danish movement in the early part of the match that was causing them a problem.
It was the Jondal Thomas in behind the fullbacks that caused a lot of problems, but that seems a long time ago.
Here's Daniel Agger. He's up there almost as a centre forward now. Tried to flick it on, cleared away by the Japan defence. Christian Poulsen's gone into the back four and Daniel Agger's joined the strikers. Here's Christian Eriksen, his pass forward deflected. And then volleyed goal, which brilliantly hits the bar. Wonderful shot on the turn by Soren Larsen. Kawashima was beaten, the woodwork denies Denmark.
Yeah, absolutely out of nowhere.
Flicked back into the box, headed away by Nakazawa, and then cleared away calmly by Endo to Nagasaki, and now he plays Honda away, he's offside. Jan, what a strike
yeah,
that
it was a fantastic strike from Larsen. He was out of nowhere. He throws the ball on his chest, he takes it away from goal, and then on the turn, I think the Japanese defender thinks we've got him on the turn. Great volley, hits the bar.
Oh, there's a penalty for Denmark, yeah. It is. Just as Daniel Agger was trying to control the ball, he's pushed over from behind by Hasebe in the penalty area. The referee from South Africa had no alternative but to award a penalty kick to Denmark, and that was stupid defending from the Japanese captain.
Yeah, it was. There was no need. Again, they had plenty of men behind. They were well organised, going absolutely nowhere. Daniel Agger pushing it back. Referee cannot miss it. He's standing right there looking at it. Penalty for Denmark. Jon-Dahl Tomasson with the ball.
Well, this is a big moment in the World Cup for Denmark, because might it just spark the miracle comeback for them here in Rustenburg, and might it also be the moment that Jon-Dahl Tomasson becomes the joint leading scorer in international football for the Danes. He's got the ball in his hand, he marches towards the spot, he's being stared out by the Japanese goalkeeper Kawashima, and Denmark have the opportunity with just under 10 minutes to play to halve the Japanese lead and to give them a slight hope in this Group E decider here in Rustenburg. Tomasson against Kawashima for a goal back in the game and the Danish goal scoring record. Here comes Tomasson, saved by the goalkeeper. Tomasson with a tap-in from close range. He finally gets the goal that he's been craving for so long, and he gives Denmark the slightest of lifelines here in Rustenburg.
Yeah, I mean, I know it's a goal in the end, but the penalty was so poorly struck. I think the Japanese keeper will be disappointed that he didn't hold on to it. Comes back to Tomasson, he's put it into an empty net. I think he's got injured scoring that goal for Denmark. But a poor penalty.
You've got to say, Jan, for a player of his experience, he's made heavy weather of every chance he's had tonight, Tomasson.
Yeah, absolutely. It's summed up his World Cup. He didn't come into the World Cup in great form. He got injured before the first game. He's played in the last two. No, he's not been great.
Struck it with no confidence, the penalty, no conviction. Easy for the goalkeeper, couldn't hold it. And Tomasson got the tap in. That's his 52nd international goal. And he's limped off towards the touchline now to get some treatment. So Japan 2, Denmark 1, 9 minutes to play in Rustenburg. And maybe, just maybe, if Denmark can score again quickly, you never know.
You never know. He'll certainly put some doubt into the Japanese's mind. I mean, that wasn't coming. There wasn't a Danish goal coming. But you have to say, Larsen hit the bar with a great strike, then the penalty. The problem now is, will Tomasson be okay to finish the game? If not, Denmark have already made their substitution.
Well, he's had the right thigh strapped up as Tomasson, the goal scorer, back on the field, gets a touch, didn't really want it.
No,
he's not moving at all well. I think he's going to stand up there, Jan, and try and swing it if the ball comes his way.
I think
Poulsen's ball into the penalty area, headed away by Tulio. And then one back by Christian Poulsen in front of Honda. Now Eriksen. Eriksen's had to play very, very deep since coming on. Long ball in by Jakobsen into the penalty area towards Bentner. And Nakazawa heads it away this time, and Nagatomo can clear down the right for Japan. There's been another goal in Cape Town. David Oates.
Holland have the lead back. It was set up by Arjen Robben. He hit the right-hand post with a thunderbolt. The ball actually bounced out the other way to the right-hand side as the Dutch attacked. And another substitute, Huntelaar, has just turned it into an empty net because Manu was still down on the ground. A little harsh given the Cameroon second half display, but it's Cameroon 1, Holland 2, and we have 6 minutes to go.
Thanks, David. 7 minutes to play here in Rustenburg. Holland will win Group E with a maximum of 9 points. Yet to concede a goal in open play in the tournament. Just that Samuel Eto'o penalty tonight. The Dutch certainly have signalled their intent in the group stage of this World Cup so far. Japan leading Denmark here by 2-1. They've got a corner, and Honda takes it from the right, headed away from inside the penalty area by Larsen. Yeah. And that's gone out for a throw-in on this. I was getting there on this near.
Yeah, I know that.
In stages.
But yeah, it's all working for Japan, isn't it? It's a corner, then a throw-in, taking all the time in the world, and you can't blame them.
Jon-Dahl Tomasson is out there in spirit at the moment.
Yeah, he's pulled his thigh, hasn't he? Hitting that penalty, I think.
Here's Kamano down the right for Japan. Gets the cross into the middle, smothered by Sorensen. And it's noticeable now that whenever Japan come forward, they leave 5 players back in defensive positions, and whenever Denmark try and attack, the likes of Tulio just step in as he did there, wins the ball off Larsen. He's fouled by the Danish player, and that's a free kick on the halfway line to Japan with 6.5 minutes to play.
Yeah, there's certainly no shape to what Denmark wants to play. Japan never once all night have lost theirs, but Aga is playing up front, just playing with Jakobsen back on his own. Everybody else is almost all out attack.
Stay with us on 5 Live at 9:30 tonight. The England Media Bubble, hosted by Ian McGarry, with Brian Woolnough, Henry Winter and Sean Custis. The conclusion as well from the cricket in Cardiff with Pat Murphy to see if England can beat Australia. And then a couple more big games for you tomorrow on 5 Live. 3 o'clock, Portugal, Brazil. Also North Korea, Ivory Coast. And then 7:30, Chile versus Spain. Spain could go out tomorrow, also with coverage of Switzerland versus Honduras. Every game covered from the ground on 5 Live, your World Cup station from the BBC. And tonight it looks like it's going to be a good night for Japan. They're set to qualify for the last 16 of the World Cup for the first time in their history on foreign soil. They've got a bit of a way to go, but there's been another wicket at Cardiff. Pat Murphy.
Paul Collingwood is out. England need 48 of the remaining 82 balls. They've got 6 wickets in hand. Shouldn't be a problem, but you never know. Collingwood, the kind of person who anchors these run chases. He played on though to Bollinger for an excellent 48. Always a chance with a low bounce and playing across the line. But he's done his job for his side, and Morgan's still there on 43. England should still win this, Darren. 48 of 82 balls, 6 wickets to target.
Thanks, Pat. Japan should win this as well. 5 minutes to go. They lead Denmark 2-1. Thomason's out there limping around. The penalty hasn't led to a Danish onslaught. In fact, here come Japan down the right. Hasebi chases. Eriksson, with the speed at his tender years of 18, can nip in front of the Japanese captain and play it back to his goalkeeper Sorensen. And when they reflect on this World Cup, they'll look back on that very big moment at the start of this match where Sorensen totally misjudged Honda's free kick. And Denmark have never really recovered from it, Jan.
No, they haven't. Up to then, Denmark was the better team, playing the better football. Chris Patton, good movement, causing 1 or 2 problems. But yes, you rightly point out, the first free kick and the second free kick just completely killed it. Having said that, that was probably the sweetly struck free kick in this World Cup.
I think it's the best one we've seen, isn't it, so far? I think a lot of people came into this tournament with this new ball and the altitude and thought the free kicks might fly in right, left and centre. It's not been the case. It certainly was a fantastically struck free kick from Yasuhito Endo from Gamba Osaka, the Asian Player of the Year at the moment, and a vitally important part of this Japanese squad. I'm a bit surprised the referee's allowing the goalkeeper to take this long over the goal kick. It seems to have taken an age. Eventually Kawashima gets the game back under play with 3.5 minutes of the 90 to go here on 5 Live, and Japan pretty much in cruise control. They're effectively playing against a 10-man Danish team now because of Thomason's injury, and they've not really been able to build on that soft penalty given away by the Japanese. In fact, if anything, Okada's side have just lifted it a little bit and are taking the game to Denmark again. Here's a Kubu to Honda. Honda inside the box, away from the defender. Honda plays it back to Okazaki, and he seals the place in the last 16 for Japan with a tap-in from 6 yards. The substitute wins it in Rustenburg. Okazaki with the goal. Japan 3, Denmark 1.
Yeah, he had to come, didn't he? I mean, Denmark are committing players forward. They had 4 men standing on the halfway line, just waiting, and they just didn't have enough men back. Credit to Japan, they worked it well, didn't they? Honda was involved, and as you thought he was just going to get his 3rd goal in the tournament, he's drawn Sorensen, and he's just rolled it back inside for an open goal for the substitute who's just come on.
Fantastic turn by Honda that made the goal, and then Okazaki couldn't miss. He tried to, he didn't hit it particularly cleanly. I think he saw the whites of the goalkeeper's eyes, did Okazaki, but he managed to recover. Side put the ball into the net. Here's a change. Akubo is going off, and the number 15, Kono, from FC Tokyo, is coming on for the last couple of minutes. And since the penalty, Jan, there was almost an air of inevitability that Japan were going to get another goal. There's a header by Larsen that's gone wide at the other end for Denmark.
Yeah, but you can't play the way Denmark have decided to play for the last 20 minutes. You know, he was always going to come. 4 or 5 men waiting on the halfway line, not taking part, only taking part when Denmark had the ball, and they were desperately undermanned at the back. Correct what you pointed out, it was a great turn by Honda, and then to see the pass back inside to give his strike partner an open goal, well played.
90 seconds of normal time remain. This is going to be a huge moment for Okada, the coach. 3rd World Cup in charge of Japan. Saw them qualify for the last 16 as the co-hosts in 2002, but they've never managed to do it overseas. A lot of these players are in the J-League. Only 4 of the squad play abroad. The rest of them are all domestically home-based players. They're a tidy unit. They've got ability in the team. They've got 1 or 2 match winners as well. And they certainly won't be an easy ride for any team they encounter in the rest of the tournament.
No, they won't. I mean, if you take this game, they appear to be fitter, quicker, technically better. They defended with a real purpose. So Paraguay will have a tough game on their hands.
Long ball forward towards the edge of the penalty area. Thomason can hardly move. The ball hit him, and all he could do was allow it to bounce off him and hope something happened for Denmark. It did in a way, because they're going to throw it on the left-hand side. Aga can hurl it in long into the penalty area. In by Aga, flicked on inside the box, flicked away by a Japanese defender as far as Poulsen, lifted back in. That hits Matsui, Okazaki, I think it is, who scored the 3rd goal, hits Okazaki, and it's gone out for a throw-in on the left, which is going to be taken by Aga again. Hurled in, headed away by the nearest Japanese defender, back out to Simon Poulsen. His cross hits Okazaki, spins into the air, flicked on there by Eriksson, and then Larsen tries to hook it towards Kawashima's goal, and I think the referee spotted a foul by the Dane, and it's going to be a free kick to Japan.
Yeah, I think if anything, he's been a little bit unlucky, Larsen, since he's come on. Every time he's been involved in the physical challenge with the centre half, the referees give a foul to the defenders.
Here's a blast from the past. Endo is going off, and the former Arsenal and Fulham player Junichi Inamoto is coming on, plays for Kawasaki in the J-League now, veteran of 3 World Cup campaigns for Japan, and Inamoto is coming on for the last couple of minutes of injury time.
Yes, Endo's goal, the 2nd goal, has finished this game. There's
4
no
minutes
doubt
to
about
play.
that. They finished the game as a contest.
4 minutes of stoppage time to play. Japan leading Denmark by 3 goals to 1. 2 in the first half, Honda and Endo, and then the clincher in the 88th minute from Okazaki. In between all that, Thomason managed to equal the Danish all-time goal-scoring record with a poorly taken penalty saved by the goalkeeper that he managed to tap in, which gives him 52 goals on his 112th appearance for his country. But won't be enough to see them through past the group stages here in South Africa. It'll be Japan who march on. Denmark in red and white will come forward with a long ball by Jakobsen into the danger area. Aga with a shot that hits a defender on the edge of the 6-yard box and spins behind for a corner. Aga thought the defender used his arm. If he did, he knew nothing about it.
No, that's right. Aga playing on the left, comes inside on his right foot swinger, and he's hit it, and he's just hit the defender. Well blocked again. Again, they had plenty of men back, Japan.
Corner for Denmark from the left, floated in by Jakob Poulsen. Attacking the ball was Daniel Aga. That's gone out of a Japanese player, and it's another corner to Denmark on this left-hand side. Well, we've got a ball actually on the pitch, which Jakob Poulsen has to sprint across to kick off the pitch before he can sprint back, put the ball inside the quadrant and take the corner from this left-hand side. 90 seconds of injury time played. Corner swung in. Dangerous into the middle. Just missed there by Larsen. I think the referee spotted a push by a Danish player anyway inside the 6-yard box. They're a very frustrated bunch, Morten Olsen's team, for obvious reasons. And it's a free kick in there for Japan.
Yeah, they've got no one to blame, though, have they? Japan have been the better team. More was expected. There was Poulsen involved.
Poulsen's been adjudged to have fouled the Japanese player, who in actual fact had got Poulsen in a bear hug before the referee spotted it. It was Arbe, wasn't it?
Can't see it all, the referee, can he? I mean, the fighting and wrestling that goes on in penalty boxes with free kicks and corners is incredible.
Okazaki on the right-hand edge of the Denmark penalty area to Honda just outside the box. Honda rolls it down the line to Hasabi, his captain, crossed into the centre, headed away by the Danish defender Rommedahl on the edge of the box. He was back there helping out his defence, the former Charlton man. And then Arbe plays the ball out towards the left-hand side to Inamoto, and then down the line to Nagatomo. Japan just trying to keep the ball by the corner flag on the far side. Inamoto spins away, can get the cross into the middle towards Honda, flicked away by Simon Poulsen, the left back. But I think the referee spotted a foul over there by Rommedahl on Inamoto, and I think it's going to be a Japanese free kick by the corner flag, Jan Molby.
You've seen that absolutely right. You know, again, it's frustration, isn't it? Inamoto's got away from Rommedahl, puts in a cross, and Rommedahl has just kicked him. Referee gives a foul.
So free kick to Japan. It's right by the corner flag. By my watch, we're into the final minute of the 4 minutes to be added on. The England media bubble on the way at 9:30, chaired by Ian McGarry. The conclusion as well to the cricket in Cardiff, with England in just about as much cruise control as Japan are here in Rustenburg. Pat Murphy will keep you updated with that as Denmark commit another foul by the corner flag over on the far side that Japan left, and it's another free kick to Takeshi Okada's team. Just seeing one or two shots on the monitor of the Denmark supporters with their faces painted and their Viking helmets on, looking very, very glum on the far side of the field. As the referee blows for the free kick to be taken short by Inamoto to Honda, who runs across the face of the penalty area. Shot comes in over the bar. That could have been a fourth for Japan. He had so much time and so much space.
He's played well, Honda. I know second half he's been better than the first half, and he's had the time and the space, but he's a player, he sees the pass, technically very good.
The referee blows the full-time whistle. It's an historic moment for Japan. They reach the last 16 of the World Cup on foreign soil for the first time in their history. Honda, Endo and Okazaki with the goals. The Japanese players celebrate in a huddle right down below us. They're all bouncing up and down and enjoying their win. It's been a fantastic display, Jan Molby, by Japan here in Rustenburg tonight.
Absolutely, take nothing away from Japan. They got the tactics spot on, picked their moments. Two great free kicks in the first half, killed the game as a contest. There wasn't a lot of expectation for Denmark in this World Cup, but I think once Denmark got themselves to this game, needing to beat Japan to qualify, I think the nation expected Denmark to do the job. They didn't. There's a big job to be done for Morten Olsen.
Japanese supporters celebrate on the far side, waving their flags. The celebration continues on the pitch here in Rustenburg. Japan are through, Denmark are out. It's finished Denmark 1, Japan 3.